Hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel, Diet Keto Lifestyle. I'm Michelle, a sports nutritionist, and this is another episode in the series of Low Carb Heroes of India. Today, we have with us Sahil Makhija. Sahil is a heavy metal musician. He has a YouTube channel, Headbangers Kitchen. He is the author of the book Keto Life Now. His YouTube channel has over 500,000 subscribers. His recipes are featured all over in the keto community on dietdoctor.com. He has a special series of Indian recipes. His keto dosa recipe has more than 11 lakh views. The flawless chocolate recipe has more than 13 lakh views. He is the most famous person when you talk about Indian keto recipes. Now, if you've ever asked Google or YouTube that show me your Indian keto recipe, then Headbangers Kitchen is all that you get to see. So I am more than honored to have with me Sahil today. Sahil, welcome to my channel and thank you for taking out the time.
No problem. Thank you for having me and thank you for that lovely introduction.
So, Sahil, your recipes are something that we have all seen and have helped us in our journey in low carb, like including mine, where when I heard about cauliflower rice and I was like, what exactly is cauliflower rice? And your recipe is something that everyone has seen, I think, as far as cauliflower rice is concerned. So that's like one of my favorite recipes because that has like really helped me throughout my journey. So thank you so much for the great work that you are doing. And let us begin by understanding your journey in low carb. Like, you have been in low carb for such a long time now. So what actually got you into low carb?
Right. Okay. So, full disclosure that I would say I've been in and out of, well, keto, so to speak, over the last 4 years or so. And I come to keto and low carb from a very different perspective. Unlike most other people on YouTube or who are professionals in this space, I come at it more as a musician who accidentally made a career out of keto recipes just because I was doing keto to lose weight. Um, it was not really like I actively ever wanted to be in the diet and fitness industry or even in the food industry for that matter. It's just sort of I had a passion for cooking. I was doing keto at the time and I found myself on YouTube making videos. People wanted more, so I kept giving them what they wanted. And here I am today doing what I do. As far as my personal eating goes, for me, it's always been a little bit of a struggle in and out of keto because I love food, and being first a chef or a cook before being a keto cook or a keto chef, I always like to eat different food, try different food, because that's what kind of helps me understand flavor profiles, taste, texture, which in turn helps me with, the recipes that I make that are keto. So my journey has been a bit of on and off keto. So I won't say that I've been keto for like 4 years at a stretch or anything. It's been 6 months off, 3 months off, then again on for 2 months, off for 6 months, back again for 3 months. So it has been a bit of ups and downs and a lot of learning for me in general about health and fitness. But I can definitely say keto and low carb opened my eyes and taught me a lot of things that I was otherwise quite unaware about, so to speak, you know. And it made me look at health and nutrition from a very different perspective than what I was looking at earlier.
Okay, so you came for personal reasons, like you have your own weight
Yes.
loss journey, and that's how you came across keto. I know that you've spoken about it, like your
Yeah.
wife was doing keto, and a friend of yours was doing keto, and that's how you
Yeah.
discovered it. And even though you've been on and off keto for some time now, or most of the times, you're saying that it is still sustainable and you have been
Yes.
able to keep your weight off.
Yes. And again, I think a lot of people look at diet as very with blinders on, sort of, so to speak. So, keto is sustainable for certain people. You know, I believe that diets are unique to the person. You know, for a lot of people, that keto has done more than just weight loss. Like people who have reversed their diabetes, who have gotten off their insulin, or who have reduced their blood pressure, have gone off medication. For those people, there's no turning back. They've been on that side where medication and not feeling good, and now they found something that is feeling good. So for them, there's no question of sustainability. It's perfect for them. It is absolutely the way forward for them. But for, say, maybe somebody who's not much of a meat eater, maybe somebody who's, as we in India say, pure vegetarian, who loves their carbs and is otherwise perfectly healthy, for them maybe it's not sustainable because they've eliminated too many foods and they've put themselves in a sort of very restrictive eating way, wherein it's not sustainable because you're lacking protein. You've cut out so many food groups from what you would get other kinds of nutrition beyond just your basic main macros. So for someone like that, yeah, maybe keto is not sustainable. It's purely based on the individual, I feel. And like that's the other thing. Like when I say I come from a different side of keto, unlike most other people, I'm not selling the diet to anybody. I'm not selling a keto course. I'm not, even though I'm selling a recipe book, I'm not here to say keto is the one and only way and there's no other way to live your life. So
Right.
like I said, my perspective is a different perspective, and it's a much broader look at things.
Right, right. So I totally agree with what you're saying, because on my channel, or people whom I know, most of them have done it for health reasons, and there are vegetarians who have done it for health reasons because they have been diabetic for a real long time, and like you said, for them there's no other way. You either be on medication or you follow low carb or a keto diet. My question to you, because most of the time, this is the first thing that people say, and you have covered this in a lot of your videos, that they say, do I have to do this for the rest of my life? Like, can I never eat carbs again? And you know how will I have my meat, or how am I supposed to have my bhaji, or how am I supposed to have that paneer, if I'm not having a roti, if I'm not having
Yeah.
rice? So how do you answer that?
Yeah, I think you already know my answer. It's use the spoon and eat your food with that. Uh, yeah, I mean, you don't have to have a naan with the butter chicken. You don't have to have rice with the chicken curry. Yes, I mean, they do taste good. No harm in admitting that.
Right.
Uh, but that's the thing, right? I don't demonize all carbs. At the end of the day, you don't have to do keto forever, but you can't go back to your old diet, which got you to the point that you're like, I need to do keto now, because obviously something didn't work there. you
Right.
know so like I tell people, you may use keto as a sort of starting point for you, to get that motivation, to get sort of more disciplined with your eating, to be more aware of what you're putting into your body. But whenever you decide to transition out of ketosis or out of the keto diet, you can't go back to step one, which made you fat or gave you diabetes or built up your blood pressure. You can't go back there. You have to just look at, okay, so maybe I like carbs and I do want to eat a little bit of roti and rice in my life. That's fine. Maybe you are low carbing for the 5 days of the week, and on the weekend you allow yourself a naan or a bowl of rice, because there's nothing wrong with those. They're not bad for you, I would say. Like, even things like, I know people get very het up about sugar, and sugar is probably not good for you in the quantities that we are eating as a society today.
True.
you know if your only sugar intake is maybe one slice of cake every 2 weeks, I don't think anyone ever got sick from doing that. The problem is that it becomes this, 2 spoons in your tea, then suddenly there's one in your tomato sauce which you bought from the supermarket. Then there is a cookie or a biscuit you ate in the evening, which has another 2 tablespoons. Then you have an ice cream in the night, and that
Right.
that sort of continuous consumption of it is where the problem lies. I don't think food individually is necessarily bad or good as we put it, but it's the level at which we consume these things and the overall eating pattern that we fall into that makes things unhealthy, you know.
Right, right. I agree, and even when we counsel somebody when they are starting off, we say that, okay, at least go strict right now. I know you have said this even before, that keto is not a sprint, it's a marathon. So
Yeah.
we say at least begin, and once you've achieved your goal, so you understand why you're doing this, and once you've achieved your goal, once you are in maintenance, yes, you can enjoy your treats once in a while, a biryani or a naan or something. Of course, it's a slippery slope, but we say that, okay, it's not for lifetime, and do it once in a while and get back. But Headbanger's Kitchen, like your dosa recipe is like the most famous. There is cauliflower upma. So
Yeah.
you actually make life a lot easier for us nutritionists. We don't have to explain much. We have to like just copy
Right.
paste the YouTube links and say, okay, have this, and have this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it really makes our life easy. How do you get all this inspiration? What makes you really go out of the way and come up with these recipes? And what kind of
Right.
response do you get for something like a cauliflower upma?
Right. So I think, like I said, I came into this industry, so to speak, YouTube and keto recipes, from a very different perspective. It's something that kind of just fell into my lap. So for me, cooking is kind of like music. It's an art form. I don't look at it as a I don't know how they look at it, but for me, it's very artistic, which is also why I never considered getting into the food industry, because that's all about customer satisfaction and catering to other people's
Right.
choices. And that's how I connect to cooking. Is I make food that I like to eat. I make things that are either maybe challenging for me to make, and things that are sort of are going to excite me at the end of the day. Like I'm excited to try something, so I just genuinely just make things as I go along. Like there was never a plan in place ki I'll try and replace upma or cauliflower poha or anything like that. It's I went with what I felt excited to try to make. You know, like like they say, like you don't miss things that are often around you all the time, and when they are gone, you suddenly miss them.
Right.
So I'm not a big I've never been into poha and upma, for example. I've never been a big fan of either. Like I'll eat it once in a month, maybe when it gets made in my house. But I'm not a fan of either of those two dishes. But when I was on it, I was like, I feel like some poha now, because yeah, after like so many months, you're like, I want some some something different. I want something a little new now. I've had enough butter chicken. I've done enough palak paneer. What about poha? What about upma? What can I use and make these dishes? So it's literally that. Sometimes things happen out of, like, for example, I did one or two curry recipes, and suddenly I got an idea like, wow, let's make this a curry month, and do 7 or 8 different kinds of curries from all around the world. So for me, it's been very spontaneous over the last 3 or 4 years. Uh, I have obviously done a little bit of planning along the way, because as a YouTuber, and you suddenly realize this is your job, making YouTube videos, you have to, just like you would with any job, kind of do things and work towards building your channel. So in that case, you sit down, you ideate, you think about, okay, what can I do that has not been done before. So it's a mixture of all those things.
Right, right. So, Sahil, you also you said you love food. Food is passion, and this is something that everyone says the first time they are exploring low carb or keto. They say, "Oh, I'm a foodie, so I can't, I can't do keto. I'm a foodie." And isn't keto delicious? I mean, this is like the wrong question to ask, seeing your YouTube channel. But for our viewers out there who are still thinking about whether I shouldn't try, and for whom it is a necessity, somebody who really wants to lose weight, somebody
Yeah.
who really wants to reverse their diabetes, I'm not talking about aesthetics here, somebody whose
Right.
lifestyle really needs this intervention.
Yeah.
For them, they say, "Oh, I'm a foodie. I can't go on a keto diet." So tell us about this whole tasty lifestyle of keto, like the food.
Yeah. So yeah, again, I guess the word diet itself conjures up the most horrific images of food. Boiled chicken breast with white rice with no salt in it, and and that, because I guess diet for the longest time meant low fat and low sodium and low sugar. It literally took out the taste from eating. I mean, I've seen diet charts that dietitians have given 10 a.m. one bowl of mung salad with salt and lemon. 12 o'clock one apple. You know, 4 o'clock egg white omelette with whole wheat toast, no butter. I mean, yeah, who wants to live like that? That's like prison food. I think with keto, and I guess anything in a similar space, you're not removing the flavor from the food. You're removing a certain food group from it, which, so you have fat, which is which most of the flavor is in fat,
Right.
That's why low fat diets are so tasteless, because you can't put butter on your toast, you know. Like, I can guarantee you, if you had to eat the toast plain versus eating the butter plain tastes tastier than the toast,
Yes.
you know. So
Right.
that for me, it was just like, okay, keto is just low carb. It's not no taste. So what can I do to make things tasty? And I guess because I do love food and I am a foodie, I wanted to make food that tastes good. And I don't think on a keto diet you have to sacrifice flavor for the diet at all. Yeah, I mean, you do sacrifice your carbs, but you're still getting to eat tasty food.
Right, right. Thanks for saying that we are not sacrificing anything and food is tasty. I mean, of course, we have your channel. I think it's the vegetarians who are generally a little scared about getting into this. Like you've mentioned before, that they have already eliminated a lot of
Yeah.
food groups from their diet. So then doing a veg lifestyle on a doing a keto lifestyle in a veg setting is kind of a little difficult. But then again, we have butter, we have ghee, we have paneer, so that really makes up for all of this. So you also have recipes such as Mumbai street food, in which I saw pav bhaji. So,
Yes.
and I read some excellent comments on that video, saying that, "Oh, wow, now I can have pav bhaji and I'm not depriving myself anymore." So, how do you come up with these recipes? Like, do you try them first, or do you yourself get a craving for a pav bhaji and then you say that, "Okay, I'm going to make a pav bhaji recipe"?
It depends, like, I'm not sure the pav bhaji recipe was born out of a craving. It was just like, what interesting Indian recipes can I do low carb? Like I said, I often get a theme. Like I did curry week once, I did dessert week. So I would have probably been on a like, how do we make like some of our favorite. So I'm very picky about food, like, and I'm not a vegetarian, and I'm not the biggest fan of vegetarian food in general. Like, given a choice, I will not eat vegetarian food. But there are few vegetarian dishes that I do like, and pav bhaji is one of them. Though, to be honest, even when I was not on keto, pav bhaji was like, maybe I'd eat it twice in a year. Not for any reason, but it's just I would rather eat chicken than pav bhaji, you know. So, but I did sort of take I did a little write down, said, okay, what are the Indian dishes that I like to eat personally? Because there are people who ask me for many Indian dishes or even Western dishes, but unless I personally want to eat it, I will never cook it, you know. Like people keep asking me for halwa and kheer and all these Indian sweets, and I hate Indian sweets. Like 90% of them are not my cup of tea, you know. So I will never ever, like, it's very unlikely. I mean, if there's a day 20 years in the future where I've run out of recipes and the only recipes left are Indian dessert recipes, then I'll make those, you know. So pav bhaji was a dish I did like, and I said, why not try and do this and make it keto? Because I want to eat it, you know. Let's just eat it. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, in some way it is a craving as well, you know. Like, yeah, I like this dish and I will make it. And I guess if with keto, once you kind of start it and you do it for so long, you kind of start to realize, okay, any recipe that has a potato, the first option is the cauliflower, you know.
Right. Right. So while you're saying that you don't like Indian desserts, when we do, like I said, when we do a Google search, Indian keto recipes, I mean, your channel is full of Indian keto recipes, right? So
Yeah.
while, yes, we may not have the halwa, but I think we have almost all Indian dishes, most of them like Bengan Barta,
Yeah.
and a lot of them on your channel.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are a lot of vegetarians also, who give you feedback about it. And I don't think Indian recipes as such are so difficult to get converted to a keto type.
Yeah.
I think we all eat a lot of vegetables
Yeah.
in India, and using vegetables and doing a keto recipe out of it, even at home, is like, I think it's very sustainable. So you recently also made, I think on the 1st of Jan, you came up with this 101 keto series,
Yeah. Yeah.
where you said that, okay, this is the meal plan and this is what you're going to do for the coming 1 week, and let's do some shopping. So what got you inspired to do these meal plans and
Right.
help with these series?
Sure. So, I mean, like I said, YouTube is now my full-time job making videos. So obviously there is a bit of strategy, a bit of understanding of who my audience is, what they're looking for. And I did the Keto 101 series first, which was I think last year maybe, which is my series where I explain keto. What is keto? What are macros? How to calculate macros? And all these kind of things. And while that is, because see, being a keto YouTuber, people constantly ask me the same questions, you know, like the questions every time I go live on any of my socials, the same questions are there, repeated 100 times. So I got fed up of like answering it. I was like, it's not possible to answer it. So I made this whole series of videos to help people start out on keto. But over the course of the year, I realized that people are lazy, very, very lazy. They don't want to sit and learn how to calculate macros, how to weigh out my food and all that. They literally want, please give me a meal plan.
Right.
Like, give me the chart. I was like, I'm not going to get into this diet industry and, become a personal dietitian or anything. I don't like people. I can't handle individual people, and things like that. Because I like making music and I like doing my recipes, and that's me. So I figured this makes sense to do this sort of, I'll give people the most basic meal plan to start keto. Like, because if you're transitioning from your regular diet, even if you're not in ketosis, if you just change over to this, you're going to see some results.
Right.
And the whole idea was to give them, to basically hold their hand and take them for 1 month. Now, in that 1 month, you very slowly, once a week, watch my videos on how to calculate macros. So it's not a, because if you get onto YouTube now and you see my Keto 101 series, it's about 17 videos of of keto to watch. Now, for people to watch 17 videos, understand macros, calories, all that stuff in one go, and then make their own meal plan and start keto, realistically, it's not going to happen.
Right.
But if they've got a 4 or 5 week meal plan and they're being handheld and they have 1 month to watch all those videos slowly and absorb all the information, while at the same time experiencing firsthand how to eat keto, it will make their transition much easier to that point, even if they're not necessarily in the highest state of ketosis or whatever, they will anyway be eating less food because of the meal plans, and guaranteed most of them will lose weight.
Yes.
So I just said, end of the year, January means, and this is a given on YouTube, January 1st, all the diet channels get the maximum views.
Yes. And the gyms.
Gyms, like everything. January is for health and nutrition. It's the best month of the year.
Right.
December is the worst month because in December, everyone loses the will and motivation, and their whole plan is January mein shuru karte hain. We'll start in January. So in Jan, I put out the series and it just took off, and it seemed to help a lot of people. So yeah, I mean, I guess it did the job that it was meant for.
Right. So tasty food. We say diet. And like you said, the moment somebody says diet, we can see all these green apples, like half, and some salads.
Mung salad without anything.
Right. Like the moment. So the theme, if you ever say like diet, so the theme is green. Like that's like the theme color for a diet.
Yeah.
But then with keto, it's so tasty, it's so amazing. So for our viewers who are still thinking or who have heard about keto, and there is always this thing saying that it's a Western lifestyle, it's a Western way of eating, it's just bacon and eggs and maybe steak. So, and your channel, which talks about Indian keto recipes, how do you feel like, just like somebody comes to you and says that, is it possible in an Indian setup? How difficult can it be? What's your answer to this?
My answer is it's super easy. For starters, literally, it's a matter of taking a few things out of what you're eating and literally just eating the same stuff. I mean, like you said, my channel is full of Indian recipes. I think there are about 70 or 80 of them now. And if, most Indian food has the same base. Right. You change a few masalas and suddenly it's a different dish, and it's from a different part of the country as well. So it's a matter of just going through the recipes, seeing what is like, I mean, everyone eats chicken curry, everyone eats palak paneer, everyone eats butter chicken, everyone eats biryani. I mean, there's keto biryani, there's keto dosa, keto naan, keto chapati, and recipes aside as well. It's also, at least today in cities like Bombay, there are at least 7 or 8 food delivery services that are all catered to Indians because their clientele is Indians. So, I mean, it's never been easier to do keto than it has been today, to be very honest.
Right. You mentioned something like eating the same food. I don't think you're saying that keto has lack of variety, seeing your YouTube channel. But people generally just feel that if they take out rice and rotis, then there's absolutely nothing else left to eat. Suddenly, like, the world is blank, and
Right.
they are like, oh, will I not have variety? So just tell us a little bit about the same food concept. Even in your meal plans, you said that, guys, do this for a week. Like, just eat this for a week. And we who are following keto for some time now, we mostly eat the same food most of the time, so that in a way takes out the hassle out of it. But can you tell our viewers more on this?
Yeah, so the thing is, I think, especially when it comes to weight loss, again, there's so many different aspects of keto and why people are doing it, but the largest part is weight loss.
Yes.
And weight loss requires some amount of discipline, and most people want to achieve that discipline, but at the same time, they are lazy. they don't want to do. So if you want to eat variety on keto, then I tell people, look, then you figure out how to calculate your macros, how to log your food. Because I was doing that for a long time. Every 2 days, I would have new food, but I would be sitting and logging it, writing down. Because when you eat the same food, it takes the work out of it. Like if you've, say, decided on a meal plan on Monday, and you've done that calculation for Monday that, okay, this entire meal plan of 2 eggs, chicken curry and cauliflower rice and my pasta, zucchini pasta in the night, this is all coming to 1,000 calories. That is exactly the number of calories I need to be in a deficit to lose weight. Sorted. If I eat that for 5 days in a row, it takes the guesswork out of it. You don't have to measure, weigh everything. It makes your life easier. It gives you focus, it gives you clarity, and it gives you a plan that is easy to follow. Most people, like you said, when they go off the plan, like you tell them, like, okay, now you've reached some goal weight on keto, you can maybe have that little biryani or naan on the weekend. The problem is that weekend turns into, it just spirals out. So I just feel in terms of making the possibility of sticking to your diet easier, having a meal plan and eating the same food does the job.
Right. Yes, I know that. And you have also said this in a lot of your videos, saying that cheat meal becomes a cheat day, and then it becomes a cheat week. And then even before you know, like you say, oh, sometime back I used to do keto.
Yeah, I've done that. And hands up, I've literally done that.
Right,
I've literally, if you see on my channel, there was a point where I actually gained every single kilo that I had lost on keto, and I was back to square one.
Okay. I think I missed that. Can you tell us? And then how did you get back?
Right. So this was in, I think, 2018, 2 years after doing keto. I had 2 trips that year to the UK, and both were very long trips. So now if anyone who's watching has been to the UK, the portion sizes of the UK food is ridiculous to start with. So I was on tour with my band, and when you are touring with your band, I mean, getting, like, you are first of all on like 1-2 pound budget for meals, so 80% of the time you're stopping at a Burger King or a McDonald's and buying a meal because it's 1 a.m. in the morning, or if you've played the show and the organizers giving you food, most of the time it's just pizza, because we are like a low level band. We are not a popular band. We play to 30-40 people a night if we're lucky, So you don't eat right. Definitely you're not eating a good quality, a meal. So after doing that for like 10 days and then being on holiday for 20 days, I lost control. I went crazy. I ate burgers, I ate chips, and every meal over there is like 700-800 calories minimum.
Right.
I mean, that's the case here also now. If you order a burger, like a beef burger and a small French fries and a Coke, your 1,000 calories is there.
Yes.
So, I mean, you're doing that twice in a day, I mean, and twice in the year, it's going to come back. It's not going to stay off, And I say that nobody becomes fat overnight. It's not like I ate burgers for 10 days and then I put back all the weight. No, I literally had to do it for a good 40 days till all that 8-10 kilos came back. Like, it was a culmination of one bad decision after the other. And sometimes you just can't stop. Like, because I'm abroad, I'm enjoying my vacation. I'm staying with my aunt. I'm going and meeting friends here and there every day. I'm living with a friend of mine for 10 days, and there's the most amazing food in the supermarket, and I have a kitchen, so I can just go and buy, like, I can eat the supermarket basically. And then you're drinking also, which I don't do much of in India. But in the UK, I get ciders and all these sweet beers and things like that, which I was like, okay, 1 drink a day, 2 drink a day, that adds up. All those calories adds up. So I'm eating 3,000 calories in a day, and that came back.
Right.
So then obviously, when I came back, I made a video and I put it on the channel, and I said, I'm telling you, because if you are watching me, then I'm accountable. So I lost a whole bunch of that weight. Some of it has not been lost. I'm still at a point now where I'm trying to go somewhere, but I'm building muscle right now, which is something I had no clue about earlier, you know. So
Right.
yeah, there's a lot of, like I said, this whole journey is learning for me
True.
and changing my perception of diet and exercise both.
True. So somebody who has gone off keto, and for whatever reasons, I also had this
Yeah.
one period which was extremely stressful, and you rightly said it doesn't happen overnight. I mean, you probably like in 40 days, but for me it was more like, okay, just today one day, and just okay, I'm just like heavier, maybe a kg this 1 month, I'll do it next month, I'll do it next month. And soon I realized like I was like 7 8 kgs up. How did you manage to come back to keto? Like, is it one meal a day, or you just make a decision and you say, okay, now I'm going to do it all over again? How is
Right.
it?
So for me, it's when I jump in full, because that one meal for me, like I said, I don't have the discipline, I don't have the control. One meal will not be one meal. I know that, because then see, the moment you allow yourself something, like if I've allowed myself carbs in one meal, then when I'm walking around the house in the evening, suddenly my father's got chakli in the cabinet and khakra and all these nibbly things. Sometimes even if you're not hungry, you just pick at it because it's
Right.
there and you're allowed, right? Like you're
Right.
not on keto yet. So I won't be kicked out of ketosis. I won't have any consequence to it. So, there's a bag of chips that is lying on the table. You'll open, you'll eat a handful. And then it goes back to that whole spiraling out of control. So that's why I personally need a rigid, uh, like something rigid, whether it's
Right.
keto or whether it's calorie counting or some form of like blocks for myself to say that no, you cannot do anything else.
Right. So, calorie counting. For our viewers, okay, there was one side where you said, okay, we can't be having sprouts without butter. And now we are talking about like really butter chicken, which has butter, actually butter, okay. And we also talk about calories. So,
Yeah.
where does that balance come? On a keto, most of the time we say don't count your calories, but at the
Right.
same time we say that okay, if you want to lose weight, don't gulp those bulletproof coffees.
Yeah.
So where does the whole calories thing come if we want to enjoy food, like we
Right.
really want to have a life around food?
Right. So I think the first thing is to accept and understand that no matter what diet you are doing, calories matter. You know, uh, there may be some flexibility in that in a certain to a certain level, because obviously we're not 100% accurate on calorie markers and knowing exactly how many calories each person is burning in a day, etc. But we are there in a ballpark figure. So we have a good enough estimate of calories. Now, coming to weight loss. Weight loss is a simple equation of calories being burnt versus calories being consumed. And when you're burning more calories than you are consuming, you will lose weight. The thing with keto, which is where keto has an edge over a lot of other diets, is that because it is high fat and moderate protein, the meals are satiating. Because of the lack of carbs, you're not getting blood sugar spikes, so you don't have the crash and that hunger that you feel when you're eating carbs. And this is a fact, like we've seen it. I can tell you that yes, I can lose weight eating carbs, but I definitely feel that crash after eating rice. I know I go and take a 15-minute nap at 3 p.m. you know
Right.
that's there. I do feel more nibbly in the evening when I'm not on keto than I was when I am on keto. And because of that, keto lets a lot of people lose weight without counting calories. So is that is what is good about keto. So you can lose weight to a certain point at least without counting or measuring or whatever. And then after that, yeah, when you get stuck and you've been stuck for 2 3 4 weeks, then you know that okay, now I need to do one or the other. One is to count calories, or I need to add some form of physical activity to increase that burn. So one or the other has to work.
Right.
And yeah, I think that's the main thing. Yeah, I think with keto.
Right. So that I think is the takeaway message, because
Yeah.
how much of butter and eggs can you eat? Like, how much of chicken curry can you eat? But ask
Yeah.
me to have French fries at McDonald's, I can still have like, I can still have three portions at least, like, and then
Yeah, that's 1200 calories goes down like this.
right.
Yeah,
There's no
that's
counting. But then ask me to have like unlimited eggs. Nobody wants to have that. Like, you
yeah.
cannot. You absolutely cannot. And that brings me to some of other questions. So I really want this episode, because who else can talk about food like you, right? I mean, so I don't want to talk about the science and the
Yeah.
data and the insulin. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about food for people who are really wanting to know about keto. There's another this big question where they say, oh, keto is for the rich ones, the ones who can
Right.
afford the almond flour and the avocados. uh, what about keto on a regular budget for normal middle class people, which is me? uh,
Right.
so isn't it a budget friendly lifestyle?
So that I think boils down to people. I think just clear a few misconceptions that I think people have. Obviously, the first one being that you need to consume almond flour and coconut flour and buy all these fancy sugar-free chocolates and things like that. You don't need to do any of that. That is all boils down to personal choice. So the amount of money you budget for your keto diet is completely up to you. It is definitely a flexible diet. It's definitely manageable in a budget. You know, uh, yes, it may be on the onset, it appears, I guess, slightly pricier than a regular diet, but unlike a regular diet or whatever the basic Indian diet is, you are more likely to eat less food on keto than you are with your regular food, you know. So you are going to end up saving any which way. Like, you may feel like you're spending a little more on your groceries, but that food will go a lot longer than,
Right.
uh, what do you think? Also, I think people need to change the way they look at food. You know, uh, I'm pretty sure like everyone in the middle class also is not fighting for, uh, a lot of people are buying a lot of things that they can compromise on. It's up to you to decide what your priorities are in life.
Right.
Maybe you don't need that iPhone for 1.2 lakhs. You don't need that other phone for 60,000. Maybe you can buy because I know people have a lot of other desires. Like, it's not like the middle class is not buying stuff up. They are buying a lot of stuff up, whether it's clothes or jewelry or so whatever you're buying, whatever your other expenses are, maybe allocate those slightly differently and look at the fact that your health is it should be a priority. As I tell a lot of people, you don't complain about spending a little more money on better quality food today because it will save you a much more expensive hospital bill later. you know
True. Very true.
like, why would you not want to be a little more generous with your grocery bill to prevent what can be a far more catastrophic expense down the line?
Right.
And having said that, uh, on keto, you all you need is a good quality fat. So you're looking at butter or ghee or a decent bottle of olive oil. And I know
Coconut
like a
oil.
lot of these things seem expensive. So I bought avocado oil. Now, avocado oil, yeah, if you go to the shop and you see 2,500 rupees on the shelf, it looks expensive. Yeah. I think I've had mine for 7 or 8 months now. You know,
Okay.
you don't have to only use avocado oil, for example. You can buy one bottle of good olive oil, say just for your salads. You can buy butter, which is fairly affordable
Very
if you
true.
ask me, you know, for your cooking. You can definitely, like, you don't have to buy chicken breast. You can buy a full chicken. So something like that. For example, for those who eat meat, instead of going and spending 250 bucks on half a kilo of chicken breast, if you buy a whole chicken for the same amount of money, you can take the skin, you can make chicken oil out of it. You can make at least 4 dishes with the different chicken parts in that. You can make soup out of that, bone broth. So do that, don't go and buy boneless mutton or boneless pork. Buy a bigger piece of meat, it costs you less. If you're vegetarian, you've got the option of paneer. Eggs are 5 rupees an egg. It's
True.
not expensive.
I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah.
When
so
we
you've got that.
it,
Sorry, you
continue. No. Yeah, I was saying when we compare it, because you said 5 rupees an egg, when we compare it to a packet of biscuit, or let's say a vada pav on the cheapest place is like $15.
Yeah.
3 eggs for that price.
3 eggs. Yeah. And also, like you said, you'll save on other items, right? Like, so if your breakfast was eggs and toast, you are no longer eating toast. You're no longer buying toast. So your toast is only being replaced with a little extra butter from your butter dish, I mean, so I feel I feel people like to make excuses to not do things when they're trying to, like, you want to exercise. Arey, not today, it's been a long day. I'll do it in the morning. And I do this. I was supposed to exercise today. I didn't exercise. I'll exercise tomorrow, So we make excuses. Even if you want to do something at the end of the day, nothing will stop you. We've seen it. When people have their heart set on something, they will make it happen. And when they're not set on it, they'll find an excuse. So I feel keto is definitely doable on a budget. And yeah, if you're serious about your health and losing weight and, sorting out your diabetes and all, you'll make the effort.
True. Sahil, you have a recipe channel, and I want you to talk about the whole, when people say, I love food, I'm a foodie, they are talking about going to fast food joints and picking up some food, right? Talk about cooking. Why we need to cook more at home. Why we need to, like, really, especially in India, like
right.
Very few people actually make their own breakfast. I don't want to make any comments here, but not many people actually cook. So talk about that a little bit.
Right. So I think, I guess in India, I mean, we have the luxury of cooks, labor is cheap. So here everyone has a domestic help or a chef or a cook or a driver. I mean, people have the most expensive cars and don't drive them, I mean, it's the Indian way of life, I guess, but I think with cooking, look, I don't expect everyone to love cooking, and not everyone is going to enjoy cooking. But I definitely think it is something people should take a little bit of interest in, at least, even if it's just to kind of get perspective on it, It's like, if you've never cooked your own meal, you have no perspective of how that food came to your table, how it got made. Like, people who would maybe eat meat, for example, but will never cook it. Like, there's a very big disconnect there, which is, I feel, should not be there, like, if you're going to eat meat, if you're going to do anything, you should have some connection to what you're doing, which is why I say, like, make your own breakfast once in a while, make a meal, just so you have a hang of what goes into your food, so you know the ingredients and you understand the value of the food that's there. I think also, like a kid who sits at home and never cooks a meal and is always served food by the cook or his mother or whatever, they don't appreciate the work that goes into that as well. I think it's also a lot of other things that you learn in life from just being a part of the food that you're eating, whether it's going and buying the ingredients or cooking the meal yourself. Like, for everyone watching, if you've never really cooked much, one day just cook a meal for your entire family. I think mothers don't get enough appreciation for putting food on the table. Like, any kids watching, please one day just take your mother's job and make all the meals for the family, just to get a good kick on, what it entails and how much work it actually is.
Right. And I don't think it's also only the kids. I think most of
Oh
the
yeah, a lot of men also. Yes, yes. A lot of men, old men, never understood equality in marriage and things like that.
right.
Sorry, I'm quite blunt with my opinions, but yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Right, right. So, yeah, my son is 16, and he makes his own breakfast. So I don't like really. Of course, we eat a lot of meat. We are like on the mostly meat kind of diet. He makes his own breakfast, and I think over a period of time, we also start to realize what our own taste buds are, what we really like, what are the different options rather than just being served all the time and saying, okay, I like this or I don't like this. And it also gives us a perspective about what actually we like or how we can change it. Having said that, tell us, does everybody in your house follow a keto diet? No, right?
No,
So that's the
In
big
fact,
question.
yeah,
Most people say that, oh, how can I do a keto diet, when everybody else in my house is eating
yeah,
carbs?
right. Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, that is it. Again, it boils down to your will and your determination and how much are you willing to like, I mean, look at it this way, like there are so many fitness people in India who are making their own food. I mean, even though they are not on keto, they still make all their meals, like all the pro bodybuilders, all the guys who are heavy into lifting at the gym and who want to get their dole shole for the next Bollywood blockbuster, whether they live alone, whether they live with a family of 4 or they live with a joint family of 25 also, those who are serious about their nutrition and have a goal and have a plan in mind, they will do it. You may live with a family with your entire family, but if you are like, okay, I want to lose weight irrespective of what my family is eating, every Sunday you'll go and buy your food, you'll cook it up and you'll make little boxes and keep it in the fridge. You'll stick to that, that's up to you at the end of the day. Like I told you, people like to make excuses when they are not willing to commit to something, you
Right,
know.
right.
And I'll be honest, I've been cooking my food for a long time. Even before I was keto, I used to always want to cook my own food because I'm a very finicky eater. I don't like spice in my food. And as a foodie, I like to experiment and try new recipes. So I wasn't always willing to eat the dal chawal that is made for lunch at home. I want to find some chicken and make some Asian chicken stir fry with rice or something like that. So I was
Right.
always, I came to a point where I was anyway cooking my meals for myself. And if my parents liked what I was eating, they'd in fact tell me to cook for them and they won't cook, you know?
Right. I also do that, sometimes I tell my son, okay, just make some eggs for me as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, right. So, you have some Q&A sessions that you do on your YouTube channel, and there are some interesting questions that come up, and you also answer them. I don't want to address them, but I want to know from you, what are some of the most challenging questions that you get that you have to answer? Or what are those really frequent ones, where people say that, oh, and you're like, I've answered this like 1,000 times. So
Oh, yeah.
what are some of those questions?
I think the most common question that is constantly repeated is can I eat XYZ food on keto? Like that is like and I think the most frequently asked by most people is watermelon. Can I use besan? All the Indians want to know if besan is okay. Can I eat chickpea? Can I eat dal? But basically, it's this: can I eat XYZ food is the most common, and followed by that is my weight has not moved. What do I do? And like I feel like that it's not a challenge to answer these questions, but these questions are very uh, individualized, so to speak. Like there's no blanket answer that okay, like there are so many variables to a question like why am I not losing weight. Your age, your diet, your actually counting your calories, your hormones, your exercise regimen. I mean, there are people who are like, I weighed myself yesterday. I was 70 kilos. Today, I'm also 70 kilos. Why is my weight not moving? And I'm just like, hello, it's not magic, So, I mean, these are the most common questions that come and they never change. Yeah.
Right. So a little bit about cauliflower rice, because that's like one of the most famous recipes of yours. I think as far as we nutritionists are concerned, we tell people you have to start using cauliflower rice. They're like, what? What exactly is that? Like, wait, what's this? So how is that like a saving grace for us Indians?
Yeah, so I think what's great about cauliflower rice is that it's a one ingredient dish, because it's literally just grated cauliflower. And I mean, unlike, when you talk about keto naan, keto rotis, there's a lot of potential for it not suiting people's taste buds, because it's almond flour, there's coconut flour, there's a textural issue for somebody. It's cauliflower rice is simple. Grate the cauliflower, cook it in a dry pan, and you feel like you're eating rice. It's a one-dimensional item, Right. And it's the vehicle for the curry or the palak paneer or whatever, which is, again, it works, because if you take boiled cauliflower and you put it into your saag wala paneer, it tastes good. Yes. It takes the taste of the saag or the butter chicken. So it's perfect.
Right.
That's why I think cauliflower rice is the saving grace for everyone all across the world.
All across the world, right? True. I totally agree. So when I was moving into, when I started low carb, I had cauliflower rice and fish curry like almost every day. Like just to tell myself that, okay, I'm having some rice. So cauliflower rice was like, I think I almost did it for 6 months on a go. So, so Sahil, you have so many recipe videos. Now you have Q&A sessions. You also have meal plans. But what is that common advice that you give someone, who wants to begin? Let's say some of your friend comes over and now he's saying, hey, Sahil, tell me, what is keto all about? So what would you say? I would really like to do it.
Yeah, I would say, hi, please go to my YouTube channel and watch my Keto for Beginners video, and you're sorted. Because that's legit it. Like, all you have to do is watch that video. After you're done watching the video, take a printout of the shopping list. If you are a vegetarian, read the blog post, not once, not twice, but at least 3 times, because people are not reading properly. I've realized that. I've literally written there, if you are vegetarian, this is the option. They'll still ask, can you give a veg option? I'm like, please read. It's right there. So, make that shopping list, go out and buy it, and start from the next day. It's because everything is there in that video. It links you to the other videos, and every day just watch one of the Keto 101 series videos. By the time you're done with the 1 month of Keto for Beginners, you will be ready to handle the rest of it on your own. So I literally would say that's the way to do it, I think.
Right.
Or to pay a dietitian or a nutritionist and go for
it. Right. I totally agree. I know you have said this a lot of times in your videos as well, like, don't ask me for meal plans, go with this. And I don't think it is really that difficult, because as per our taste buds, I think you've covered all the videos. So anything that we want, we can look for a keto version of it. So what are we now looking forward to? Are you planning something else? And a little bit about your book, Keto Life.
Right. Okay. So the book, I think it came out last year. I think last year or year before. I've actually lost track. Anyway, but the book is out. It's available in India on Amazon and Bookswagon. It's called Keto Life, and it has my 100 best recipes. So it's not filled with Indian recipes, unfortunately. There are only 2 Indian dishes in the book. But this is basically like a Headbangers Kitchen collector's item. If you're a fan of the show, here's the book with all brand new pictures. The recipes have been tweaked slightly from the online version to be a little more perfect. And yeah, it's your way of saying that you're a fan of Headbangers Kitchen, and it also explains keto in detail and all the do's and don'ts and things like that. So the book covers pretty much everything that you need to know, and you can grab it from either of those websites, Bookswagon or Amazon. And as for the channel, I've got a whole bunch of videos coming up, recipe videos for the rest of the year. I can't share the exact details because it's quite a few big surprises. And
Wow.
you'll see it. Yeah, you'll know it when you see it. And I don't know, maybe in January I will see if I can find some motivation and inspiration for some kind of another beginner series or something like that. Maybe I'll do another 3 ingredient meal plan, sort of day of eating type video. So
Right.
yeah, something like that, I think. Yeah.
Right. I actually saw that series of 3 ingredients.
Three
There was,
ingredients, yes.
and that was like so easy. There was like chicken, sour cream, and mustard, and there was that whole sour cream series as well. And I was like, wow, like things that we can actually do with 3 ingredients, and that's why like all our viewers, please watch the channel Headbangers Kitchen and start cooking. I think that's like the first advice that maybe we should like give people that.
Yeah, and I think that 3 ingredient. I now that you mentioned it, I just realized that's actually the perfect uh, sort of plan for people who are not familiar with cooking. If you're new to cooking, obviously we understand something like a butter chicken can be quite intimidating, or something like a bacon bomb where you have to, a lot of different ingredients and techniques. But like the 3 ingredient meal plan is literally one frying pan, four
Right.
dishes, and you're so simple. So almost anyone can do it, I feel.
Right. So Sahil, what do you eat on a day-to-day basis? Like what's like your meal recall of an average or a normal day?
Right. So I'll be very honest and full disclosure that I'm not currently on keto because once lockdown started, I tried to do keto for a bit, but since our cook wasn't coming and I was making all the meals for everyone in the house, I was like, I'm not eating separate food today. So I
Okay.
just got into the same eating habit as the family. But then I started trying some other diets as well. So right now I'm on a calorie counting diet. So my current meal is actually I've just been eating like a piece of grilled chicken for lunch with some vegetables,
Okay.
and dinner has been 2 eggs with some ham or bacon, and two sourdough toasts. Like very simple. I'm intermittent fasting, so I don't eat breakfast. I just have coffee, and I try to avoid snacking in the evening. And my go-to food right now is kind of watermelon if I'm very hungry, because watermelon is super low calories. And I'm not,
Okay.
like I said, I'm not keto. I'm kind of in a low carb space more than anything, so it's a bit flexible. But I'm actually starting keto again next week. So yeah, I mean, it's going to keep changing, because like I keep trying different diets and stuff. But when I'm on keto, um, I generally find it difficult to stick to one meal plan, because of the channel, because I have to keep coming up with new recipe ideas.
Right.
So I don't end up eating the same food as regularly as I would like to. But there are 3 or 4 dishes that are my go-to, like staples on keto. One is a Thai curry,
Wow.
you know, because Thai curry you can just make like enough for a whole week, and it's sorted. And Thai curry is one of those dishes, the longer it sits in the fridge, the better
Yeah.
it tastes.
Right. Right.
So Thai curry is one dish. Chili con carne, which is my like minced beef and tomato sort of thing. It's like a Tex-Mex kind of thing. Again, you can make a big batch of that, like make 1.5 kilos of beef mince, and it's just 10, 12 days it'll last,
Right.
and it gets better every day. So those are two of my go-to dishes. To be very honest, I stopped eating all the keto breads and rotis and all. I just, I simplified my keto to meat and vegetables. So cauliflower rice is a regular. It's again my saving grace.
Right, right. I think over a period of time, we actually tend to simplify and just stick to few ingredients. But then, yes, once in a while, we really like to try the dosa and the naan,
Yeah,
which is the most, I think, one of the most famous things that I have
yeah,
seen on Twitter. So every time, even there is somebody who tweets that, okay, I tried the naan, and there are so many retweets, and everybody is like, oh, I tried this once
yeah.
and this is like amazing. And so there's all that talk about. Sahil, I think I've already taken an hour from you. uh,
No worries.
so for our viewers, yours, like you're saying, like you have been on and off keto, and you are trying different diets, and there are times like lockdown when you have to cook for the whole family, or you were traveling. There are these times, and life happens to
Yeah,
all of us, right? It's never
yeah,
going to be this whole linear thing.
yeah.
But why is keto something that you will always come back to? And why should people always have it in their mind, that, this is something that we can come back to, or why should we come back to? Or why would you
Yeah.
come back to?
So I think what keto offers you as a person is tasty food on a diet is the main thing. Uh like I said, I constantly experiment with different diets and things like that. And when I was doing calorie restriction, I just realized that so many delicious tasting foods suddenly become off limit because it's high in calorie and it's high in fat. Now, fat on its own when you're doing keto is not a problem.
Right.
But when you're eating carbs at the same time, fat is not good at that time. So, for example, a great example is a good artisanal sausage, you know, like a nice pork sausage or even a beef steak, for example, is super high in calories. And when you eat that along with bread and stuff, it's not working out well. So, right now, when I'm doing this calorie restricted, I'm having to have boring chicken breast, cooked in the least amount of oil, boiled vegetables that are literally just put into boiled water. Because I can't add fat to that, because then suddenly my meal is just so high in calories and I've got so much fat which I don't need in the day. But when I'm on keto, I need the fat because that's my fuel. So I can eat the sausage, I can eat the vegetables cooked in butter, and it's delicious. So keto allows you to have delicious food. I mean, I don't think you need
Any other
another
reason?
reason. Yeah.
Right, right. Okay. So for all our viewers, in the show notes, there will be a link to Headbangers Kitchen. I don't think there needs to be a link because it's all over the YouTube. But of course, to your book and to some of my favorite recipes from Headbangers Kitchen. And what's your most favorite recipe on Headbangers Kitchen? Your favorite
Um,
recipe?
well, it generally keeps changing, but I think the recipe that I really enjoy going back to in terms of taste, convenience, meal prep, potential is my pork fried rice.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm going
that
to
is just perfect. Yeah, that's keto perfection for me, if you ask me.
Okay, okay. I haven't seen that. So I'm going to add a link to that and also watch. So, Sahil, thank you so much for taking out the time today. And thank you for that great work that you are doing, because you all,
Thank you.
saved our life, and made food so interesting and so easy for all of us. Thank you for spreading the awareness, saying that keto is possible in Indian setup, in Indian culture, Indian taste buds. And your last piece of advice to viewers who are watching this.
All right. I think the advice I'd like to leave anyone who's watching with is that just look at fitness as a long term thing, because uh, short term never pans out the way you expected. If you look at your diet, your exercise, your weight loss as a lifelong endeavor, you are more likely to find success and sustainability. Because the truth is, the only time that you can stop worrying about whether you will gain weight or lose weight is when you are dead. So, so it's best to look at it from a long-term perspective. And honestly, that's one of the biggest takeaways I've had in the last 4 years of trying different diets, being on and off keto, is that no matter what you do, this journey of weight loss and fitness and nutrition only ends when you end. So
Right.
hopefully you will keep that in mind when you're planning your, weight loss plan.
Weight loss plan, right? Like, once again, like you've always been saying, this is not a sprint, it's a marathon, it's a lifestyle. And yeah, it's always good to plan and keep in mind, and always come back to keto, just in
Yeah.
case, and, whenever we are off that. So, thank you so much, Sahil. Thank you for
Thank you for having me.
taking out the time. Thanks a lot. And all our viewers, please watch recipes on Headbangers Kitchen, and share your comments, and also let us know what is your feedback on this video. So thank you so much.